Today's lesson, we're continuing chapter 34. Today's lesson, balancing the opposite emotions of joy and bitterness simultaneously. To have joy and at the same time to have bitterness, merirut. How can we have the two at the same time? Two opposite emotions. To have bitterness and to have joy at the same time. From the end of chapter 30 up to this point, the Alter Rebbe discussed various forms of joy one ought to strive to attain when saddened over his spiritual shortcomings, the joy of one's soul on its being released from exile within one's body, an animal soul, the joy of being close to God through awareness of His unity, the joy occasioned by contemplating God's joy in crushing the Sitra Achra, and so on. So there's many reasons to be joyful, especially if you're involved in learning Torah. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to state that all these forms of joy do not conflict with the bitter remorse and sadness that one experiences over one's spiritual failings. If anyone would contemplate about the spiritual failings, it could lead to sadness. For although the joy and sadness are opposites, one is simcha, one is the feeling of expansion, and one is contraction. Although joy and sadness are opposites, they can nonetheless coexist when each has its own distinct cause. והנה בכל פרטי מיני שמחות הנפש הנזכרים לאל, אין מהן מניעה להיות נבזה בעיניו נמאס ולב נשבר ורוח מנמוכה בשעת השמחה ממש. All the specific types of joy enumerated above do not preclude one from being shamed and despised in his own eyes, or from having a broken heart and a humble spirit, even at the very time of his joy. The shame and so on is prompted by one's awareness of the lowliness of his body and animal soul. While his joy is felt on account of his divine soul and the animating spark of godliness closed within it, as mentioned above. And this is what the Zohar says. Bechia is crying. We find a similar statement in the Zohar. Weeping is lodged in one side of my heart, and joy is lodged in the other side. Rabbi Elazar exclaimed these words upon hearing from his father, Rabbi Shimon, an esoteric exposition on the destruction of the temple. On one hand, he now felt even more nearly the enormity of the tragedy. He suddenly understood what happened, the destruction of the temple. On the other hand, he was filled with joy over the secrets of Torah being revealed to him. We thus see from the Zohar the two opposite emotions stemming from separate causes can exist in one's heart side by side. So if the joy is coming from the fact that you have a godly soul, and the godly soul is being released at the time of learning and the time of doing mitzvot, is being expressed, and every time you overcome your evil inclination, then there's a lot of joy in the higher worlds, and the fact that you're causing joy to Hashem should lead you to joy. And then on the other hand, you have the sadness that can come from the animalistic soul. If we allow ourselves to succumb to the temptations of the animalistic soul, it can lead to sadness. But you can have the two because they're all stemming from two different sources. That's what the Zohar means. Bechia, crying, come from this side, and then you have chedva, which is joy, coming from the other side. That's the Tanya.